So if it is lit up red, we cannot hear you, and we are live.
Ready? Okay. Good morning. Happy New Year, everyone. This is the Affordable Housing Advisory Board hybrid meeting on Monday, January 10th, 2022. We're on the 26th floor. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and with that, I'd like to welcome everyone to this year's exciting agenda. We've got a lot going on in the area of affordable housing, and so we'll be working very hard this year to make sure our citizens know what we're working on and to move several items forward as far as the agenda is concerned. So welcome everyone. With that, if Natasha, can you do me a favor and do roll call? And City Councilman Goods has joined us as well, so I want to make sure you saw him.
Overman,
Here.
Myers,
Here.
Abel,
Here.
Goods,
Here.
Burton, Jackson Sims,
Here.
Combs,
Here.
Hollis, David Hollis, Dr. Gordon,
Here.
Cheryl Howell,
Here.
Nancy Takamori. Okay, and then we did have an excused absence from Mr. Rosenwasser.
Yes, thank you. I was actually going to read that into the record. Mr. Rosenwasser has had a passing in his family, and he was unable to join us today and asked for an excused absence. And we did hear from Member Burton indicating that she was unable to attend today due to some other issues. So with that, we don't have a quorum, correct? So we won't be able to actually address the minutes of the meeting. But before we go there, we do have 15 minutes set aside for public comment. And right now, I don't have anyone on a list to signed up to speak. Natasha, can you confirm that we don't have anybody signed up? Okay. Signed up to speak?
We do not, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, I think it's important to recognize that this is the time where our citizens and those interested in affordable housing have an opportunity set aside to speak with the board so that we can address those issues and potentially address either ways that we can better address our citizens' help, but also to take a look at how our partners are in this effort. So please feel free to sign up prior to the meeting. In the minutes of the meeting, you'll find all the instructions on how to actually participate in the meeting, and that way we can make sure that we're listening to our citizens. Given that we are unable to address the next item, which is the approval of the minutes due to lack of quorum, I think I'll just go into the chair's report, which really is twofold. One, we are waiting to learn about whether or not the Build Back Better plan, which has a significant component towards affordable housing, gets passed so that we can actually take a look at how we can utilize those federal dollars to assist us in addressing our affordable housing issues. But also this weekend, I know Commissioner Myers and I and Councilman Goods attended, along with several other representatives, elected officials in our community, attended an American DreamWorks, is that what it was called, American DreamWorks? Listening session for us, but more importantly, for those in the community that were needing to help us understand some of the challenges. Not that we aren't aware of those, because we get those phone calls on a daily basis, working through the benefits and services that are available through Hillsborough County as it pertains to Tenant Bill of Rights, which the county has passed, and we look forward to seeing our municipalities endorse that and then pass it under their own legislation. But also the emergency rental assistance program, our home stabilization services under our social services department, as well as the many programs to help in helping homeowners stay stable in their home through rehabilitation and repairs. There were a lot of good discussion that occurred at that meeting, and I look forward to making sure that our citizens know that a majority of what we heard this weekend, there are resources on the county website to help with some of those issues. There may not be all of them, but there were a lot of things that were discussed this weekend that I encourage our residents to take a look at under the affordable housing area and social services area to assist our citizens as they wrestle with the high level of rents and high home prices that we are now seeing. In addition to that, I've been asked by Congresswoman Castor to get a short list of policy recommendations. So I'd like all of our board members to consider providing Ms. Howell with any suggestions that we may ask Councilwoman Castor Congresswoman Castor to assist us in possibly making some modification in the federal guidelines that would make it easier for us to help some citizens now that we're seeing such high rates in our local area. Additionally, I think we're also seeing that our legislative support to continue fully funding the Sadowski Trust is still on the agenda. I'll be heading up to Tallahassee next week to continue to reiterate that point. So I look forward to meeting with our state legislators as well as leaders to make sure that they're aware of how critically important it is that we have the resources necessary to invest in affordable housing and create additional housing capacity for the citizens that live in Hillsborough County. We have approximately 1,015 people moving to Hillsborough County a day right now, is the estimate, which is creating a very, very large demand for housing. But it also can crowd out many of the residents that have lived here for a long period of time when it comes to supply. So I know that the Board of County Commission, we as a policymakers recommending to the Board of County Commission are looking for ways that we can increase density, increase supply, and increase land use flexibility in order to be able to create housing. And those are some of the things that I'd like to see us focusing on this year. So with that, the next item, unless there's questions or comments, Mr. Powell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did have something on this matter that I wanted to bring up. Hopefully this is the right forum, not having to worry about an email, but given the line of work that I'm in and what I do, I see a lot of people who are struggling, to purchase, and they are looking for something at an affordable price point. And right now, single-family homes, they're just getting priced out. You can't go into really Brandon or Riverview without having to pay $300,000, $350,000. And it's just like that across, the area. The only options that are really available that are affordable product, are, condominiums. And these are, condominiums that are in what would be called like a fractured, development where there's a majority owner, but there's still maybe 30 to 40% of those units are available, to the general public that are not owned, for resale. And I have people who come into my office all the time who want to purchase a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and I know of places that you can get a 1-bedroom for $120,000, but right now they have to put down 30-35% in order to make that purchase because of how current Fannie Mae and Freddie guidelines are as condo associations that are called like non-warrantable. And I know a few years ago, the Fannie Mae did raise the threshold from 10% to 50%, but that's really not high enough because anyone that is a bulk owner in these developments, they're going to try to get to at least 70-75%, so that way they can have carte blanche to amend documents as they see fit for their benefit. So I would like to see us, and I don't know if Ms. Takamori would be the right person to ask or to help with this, but making recommendations or crafting, I don't know if it's a petition or legislation that would effectively just maybe do away with that requirement. So then that way we have more housing supply for people who can then go and get an FHA loan, or Fannie Mae loan where they put down 3.5%, put down whatever it may be. on these, type of, product that are affordable, because that's something that, people can come up with, 3,000, 5,000, for a down payment. They can't come up with 35, to $50,000. Someone in that price point just doesn't have that money. And we have a tremendous housing supply, in that product just within, the greater Tampa Bay area, but specifically, in Brandon and, Hillsborough County, excuse me, I can name off, 4 or 5 developments. So I think that that's something that we should look into, and I don't know how to best way to craft that, but I don't know if anyone is even aware that's, that's the main threshold that stops, these communities from people being able to purchase, in these affordable communities.
That's really fascinating. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Yeah, where we need to immediately create supply or have the ability to, or where legislation or regulation prohibit us from making that supply available when it's naturally occurring affordable housing, that would be really important to explore. Ms. Takaroni, are you familiar with that requirement or those rules?
I am not familiar with that, but I'm happy to look into it, and if it's something that you wanted to include in the list that is forwarded to Congresswoman Castor, I'm happy to help you with the language.
That would be excellent, because I could see opening up at least some parts of that marketplace that's there that does not allow for median or lower income individuals to actually acquire home ownership. That would seem counter to the goal. So that's probably something that we probably should look into. So I'll support the research on that, and if you could bring that back at possibly the next meeting, we can get in front of, send a letter of support or recommendation to Congresswoman Castor. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I see Connie Burton on the line, and she has a comment or a question. Ms. Burton, you recognized.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I don't
understand.
I just want to speak to the issue of urgency as it relates to services. One of the things that hopefully we can get relayed to the department heads on the rental assistance program. People are indicating that there's limited number of people that can apply per day. The time that the site is opening around 8 o'clock and closing when it has met its limitation of maybe, I'm hearing 50 applicants per day on a Monday. And so that's leaving a lot of anxiety in the community in terms of people that can't, prompt quickly enough, not getting the assistance that week. That's one thing. And then secondly, for me, this issue of lack of affordability, and this is specifically to the policymakers, whether city or county, that, we've been talking about this lack of affordability for a very long time. It don't start on a Saturday, last Saturday, or next Saturday. And the people need to see sound solutions, which I believe the county under the leadership of Ms. Howell is working toward that. But the anxiety that exists in the community because of these enormous rental amounts, inside of the urban core, we are looking at houses being built every day, but the people who would like to get it and live in our community is untouchable. And so I'm just looking for, in this year, creativity, that if our congresswoman know it, our city council members know it, and county commissioners know it, don't ask the citizens to keep repeating the same thing over and over to you guys. We need to see some solutions to this problem, and that's what I wanted to add to that comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Burton, and I do hear you. The good news is we have on the agenda at the Board of County Commission meeting an update of our 2-year strategy that not only shares with you what we have been doing, but our plan for and based on our conversations here, our plan for the prospectively the next 2 years. So there is an opportunity to get a full report on what we've accomplished and what we're doing as Hillsborough County is doing. But also, we do have some good partners with the city, and they're working really hard as well. It's going to take a, full court press here, and that is what we're doing. The challenge is making sure people have access to some of the investments that we've made in the community, deploying the dollars. I will say, Hillsborough County has the highest utilization rate of our ERAP funds in the state. We are getting it out there as quickly as we possibly can, although it would be nice if we could do it faster. I don't disagree with that. But I do know that we've done everything we can to try and get the money out, and we are using it. We are looking for reserve ERAP funds from unutilized ERAP funds for rental assistance that other counties have not used, to see if we could actually make sure that that gets out to our citizens, given how big this county is and how rapidly our rents have increased over the last year, that it's made it incredibly difficult to not have people displaced. But with that, I definitely hear what we heard this weekend at the workshop, as well as what Ms. Burton has brought up. It is a concern, and we are moving things forward. And we do have some programs that we need to make sure that people are taking advantage of by reaching out to the various different services and resources that are available for increasing our supply, but also in making sure that people have the rents that they need as best as possible. With that, I'm going to leave it up to Ms. Howell to provide us with the director's report. Seeing no other hands raised. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Ms. Jackson Sims, your hand was raised. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to piggyback on something that Ms. Burton said. The county has done a fabulous job in trying to play catch up to a situation that has been going on long before Ms. Howe arrived, in the demand for affordable housing, both for our low income residents, our moderate and our middle income residents. But I think as the county has looked at the rules and regulations that prohibit the development of affordable housing and has provided additional incentives to stimulate development, they can only go so far as long as the federal government still has a large layer of burdensome and outdated requirements on the regulations on the programs that are being administered. It's time for us to ask the federal government to do a comprehensive review of all of their programs that are being used for the development of affordable housing, and to tweak and or eliminate those regulatory requirements that are now placing barriers on the development of affordable housing rather than stimulating the market. And there are a number of them. I can tell you firsthand, there are a number of them.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson Sims, and I look forward to seeing a list of that, of those barriers, along with a summation of what Mr. Powell has brought to the table. And I know that we're looking at not only the incentives that we approved and made recommendations to the Board of County Commission for approval, the incentive strategies, which is another step. But again, I have been asked by Congresswoman Castor to give her a framework of recommendations. So I look forward to hearing your items, Ms. Jackson Sims, since you have such great experience there, and provide that to Ms. Takamori and to Ms. Howe, along with a summation from Mr. Powell on seeing if we can put together a list of items that we could present to our Congresswoman. Councilman Goods.
When I look at the crisis and I look at some of the barriers, we have to look at zoning as well. I think zoning is a big barrier with all of this as well. And, Florida has a rule about inclusionary zoning, but it does indicate how you get around that. We in Hillsborough County, we have a transportation problem. it hurts us with our zoning and a lot of things that we're doing. So I think we have to, everyone, need to be a meeting of the mind with the city, the county, and everyone to look at the zoning and see how we can fix the zoning to now look ahead of how we can get this curve and start to move in a better way. So when you have development going on, there are rules or a plan in place with the projects. And that way we start to get ahead of our situation. But I think everyone has to look at the zoning. I think that might be one solution. And many other, probably others, but I think zoning is one.
Thank you. I absolutely agree. I've been actually speaking with your new development person, Stephen Benson, along with the county's land use and zoning and planning professionals exactly on this issue, is where does affordable housing and transportation planning, transit planning marry, and how do we include the concept of how communities grow and how transportation grows and how we partner with our partners in the housing industry, the developers and home builders, on creating a product that actually addresses the increased need for supply in urban areas where density is critical. And that is something that I am working on. I look forward to working with you on that as well, Councilman Goods. I'm not seeing any other hands, so if with that we could move forward with Ms. Howell's report, with the director's report.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Cheryl Howell, Affordable Housing Director, and I want to thank the board for always bringing good ideas and challenges to us as we move forward in such turbulent times. Every day I hear from our citizens, and I either hear somebody saying, I need to get some type of repair for my home so I can maintain and stay in my home. My rent has gone up $500 or $600. What am I going to do? And these are things we don't have easy answers. What I know is that we got over 1,000 people moving into the county every single day. And many of those people that are moving into the county are seeking some type of affordable housing. We have a supply side issue that we have been working on with our planning agencies and with our management, growth management division and department as well. And we are working on increasing densities, reducing parking areas for multifamily housing, looking at what a real impactful tax abatement program would be like for affordable housing. We have navigators in place to help our developers get through the process to save time. And when they save time, they save money as well. We're reviewing all of our land in terms of what makes sense for affordable housing. As a matter of fact, we just finished up an RFP where we are preparing to convey land over for affordable housing development. But one of the things that is critical, and I think it's important for this board to know, is that as much as we're doing in creating affordable housing and building that portfolio, we are losing units daily. We are losing units daily through recapping. So one of the tools in our toolbox that I think is going to be instrumental as we move forward, and it is not an instant it's not an instant answer, but is our CLT. That's going to be a critical tool as we move forward in our process. So we have put together a bundle of incentives that we are working aggressively on. And when I have an opportunity to look at our National Multifamily Housing Council and all of the things that they outline for the various communities throughout the United States, I want to say that Hillsborough County is working on all of those things. There was nothing new that was on the list And so it was only really two things that we haven't gotten complete. And so when I look at the other areas, I know that we're far ahead of many of our other counterparts, but that provides no balm or no relief to our people who are needed. And I get that as well. And so I want to bring to you where we are with our CLT update, and we've been working on this for quite a while. So we're still working with Florida Housing Coalition on building up this format. And so it was important for us to know that we weren't just delivering a canned product to this community, that we are delivering a product that's going to be impactful for the needs of this community, and that we have some of the infrastructure and organizations in this community that can help to successfully create affordable housing in perpetuity. And so we are at the point right now where we're kind of fine-tuning everything, and we should be ready to submit the application soon. What I can share with you is that, you know, we'll be doing a lot more single family. I'm not sure what we'll be able to do in terms of multifamily in that CLT process, but we are working together aggressively to try to make sure that we get this CLT portion done and out pretty soon.
So Ms. Howell, could I ask you to, CLT stands for Community Land Trust for the public that may be
Community Land
watching and not
Trust.
know what that is. But I'm very pleased to see we're moving that forward. And we're looking for every way that we could actually either do single family and or multifamily in this particular option. So thank you very much for your work there. It's good to get an update.
Yes. Thank you so much, Commissioner. And I apologize. We speak in acronyms a lot. So, and if anybody has any questions as I move forward, just stop me. I'll be more than happy to address any questions or concerns that may come up. The next item that I want to talk about is the expansion of the rehab program. So every so often, we go back and we take a look at our programs. I look at how many denial applications we get, what the pressing needs are. Are people losing homes at a faster rate in our low and moderate income neighborhoods? And so I saw a number of different things as I began to look at the data. The loss of wealth in homes in our low moderate neighborhoods over the last 20 years or so. The increased amount of renters that we have in the area. When you got more renters, that means you have less homeowners. And so even delving in and looking at what that population looks like. And so there's been a 57% increase in very low income renters, and then a significant decrease in the number of homeowners. And what that means is a lot. It means a lot in terms of housing accessibility. When you rent places, they determine and dictate who comes, who stays, and so on and so forth. And so there are choices and options that are given up in a rental situation that you possess as a homeowner that can't be taken away. And so many of our families have suffered as we have become a community of renters. And I am not in no means stating that a rental product is a bad product, because we need rental products as well as homeowner products. I am just stating that this is something that's it's an obvious outcome of what's happening to our communities. And so, and I'll delve in a little bit further here and say that any of our residents that are experiencing credit issues or criminal or any type of criminal histories have an even more difficult time when their support system is in a rental type situation and not in a homeowner situation. And so we have a growing population of what we have termed almost like the unhoused. It's people who have income but are not able to access housing and get a lease under their own name, because if they have received an eviction before, it's easier to get a lease on a unit with a criminal background check than it is to get a lease on a unit if you have an eviction. And so we began to look at our rehab program, and you may say, what's the nexus between your rehab programs and rental property and people being unhoused? Well, people in low and moderate income neighborhoods who own their homes oftentimes don't have that $25,000 or $35,000 to put into a home to get the roof and maintain the insurance, or to put in a new HVAC unit, or some of the other major repairs. And so we took a real good look at our application process itself, and many of the things that were preventing people from qualifying. And some of those things just simply didn't make sense anymore. And we're also taking a look at the family unit itself and being able to support families, 2 or 3 generations of families in one household. And so as we look at what it costs to create additional affordable housing, we know that land is a huge part of that. And so if we can utilize our current homeowners to support their own loved ones and to create that type of social support system in one place, it makes more sense. It makes more money sense, and it makes sense in terms of the social structures and the outcome of the strengthening of these families, where it be in their social support or where it be in their in generational wealth. And so we are looking at tearing these programs apart and expanding these programs in such a way that it will support what the 2022 family looks like. It looks like a grandmother and maybe a mom and dad and a child and a grandchild that's living in one house together. So, it's no surprise to us that there's this kind of shared living concept that our families have gone back to. See, they've gone back to this. This is something that's being repeated. And I believe that we can support this in a way that will really help to strengthen the families. And so we're looking at a number of different things, looking at the footprint, whether or not we can help to support that in terms of adding on an additional bedroom when there's overcrowding. Whether or not that if there is maybe a senior parent that needs to come home, whether or not we can add on an accessory dwelling unit, things of that nature to really help support and add to the value of that family. And so I'll stop there for a minute, because I want to know if there are any comments or any feedback that I can have thus far.
I'm not currently seeing any hands raised, but I do know that this weekend there were comments made by individuals that either knew of vacant property where the homeowner wasn't living there, but they own the property and they do need assistance in rehabbing it, so maybe they could rent it out, or maybe they could even live there and move their family there. Shared housing, having roommates in order to help you cover the bills, if, there frequently requires that the place be habitable under our rental laws, right? So where our rehab dollars can help create that opportunity to be great. And I do see that Ms. Burton does have her hand raised, and then I'll recognize Councilman Goods. Ms. Burton?
Yes, I just want to really appreciate Mrs. Howell on her leadership and thought process. If ever the phrase of speaking truth to power was ever said, this is this occasion. Because what we do know inside of the urban Black community, we have not had the ability to create that generational wealth that is always grown through people who own property. So having these concepts of adding on to dwelling units would not only start that process, but it would help stabilize. Because right now we cannot put a finger on some of the issues that we have in our community around violence and trauma. Grandmama, grandparents, somebody older inside of that structure might be able to help calm this problem down. That's number one. And so if we can get this information, get this approved, get this information to that community, that would save lives all the way around. And the other thing I was concerned with, Mrs. Howe, when you talk about recapping, I hear, on the other aisle, people say, well, we building 10,000 units, but people can't find affordable units. Would that be, we losing affordable housing and affordable rental units, but then on the other hand, I'm hearing these big numbers, but I can't find where these properties are located. In your opinion, is that like recapping or recounting? I'm trying to understand what you meant by that.
Okay, so when I talk about recapping, first of all, I want to say that I can only speak to my numbers. I can't speak to anybody else's numbers, right? And so when I talk about my numbers, they all go back to projects that we are doing in affordable housing. When I speak on recapping, I'm talking about how typically a multifamily developer, you can do it with a portfolio of single family homes as well, but how a multifamily developer will come back in and they will refinance a product, kind of pay off investors. Sometimes they change terms, sometimes they'll pay off the county. And so then they no longer have that commitment to the county for those dollars. And so we sometimes lose those units when that occurs.
Right.
So it, and for the general public who may be listening, it has more to do with a refi concept.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that we have been losing many more units almost as fast as we've been trying to build them, where
Yes.
the deals that were done 20 years ago or 30 years ago that are at the end of their mortgage cycle, and then they're no longer required to maintain those units for available affordable housing renters and or owners in this particular case. So I think it is important that we take a look at how we're doing these projects in the future, but then actively, and I know, Cheryl, your department has gone out and actively worked with the owners to see if there was a way actually to keep some of those units in the inventory, because as it stands, the policies that were put in place many years ago are now expiring for all practical purposes, and then we're losing those units as well. So I do like the idea of inventorying vacant properties or even properties, but they don't have anybody in them, to explore if they could qualify for the rehab program, or whether it be the city or the counties, where we can look at opening up the urban area where there is some density, and seeing if it's possible that those properties could be encouraged to provide affordable housing availability, or to participate in the rehab so that they could expand, as you mentioned, either 80, accessory dwelling units, or add a bedroom, or add additional capacity for multifamily shared housing arrangements when it's actually in a single-family environment. As long as our zoning and our codes don't cause a problem with that. And that is interesting. There used to be, and I don't know if it's still in place, there used to be a rule that you couldn't have more than 6 people in a household. And that's not in today's economy. We have lots of folks that have a lot more than 6 people living in their households out of financial necessity. And so a review of those kinds of rules may need to be incorporated into our land code or into our programs so we don't find them conflicting with each other in order to get something accomplished and move forward by in increasing our inventory. Councilman Goods.
For me, it's like we're running in circles. And I've said it time and time again since 2019. We already have the answers. We have to put the practices in place. I can drive all in the urban core and see houses that are dilapidated all day long. I can see buildings as I drive down Nebraska, Florida. I just had this conversation with the mayor on Friday. I can drive all on the east side of town where I can see houses that we have squatters in, that someone died, and now that family member probably has moved on because they couldn't repair the house or it cost them, so they just gave it on up. And when the best buyer comes along or offer them a couple of nickels, they take it and they say their headache is gone. Our housing departments on both sides should be looking at those properties that are dilapidated, some of these old churches. You look at some of these developers that are looking at these churches now and redeveloping those. I mean, the answers and solutions are there. It's a matter of how we are going to put them in place to be practical. In a lot of rules, Commissioner is right. That's why I said we have to look at the zoning and land use codes, because you just can't make extensions in certain properties. There are rules. Times have changed, so we have to look at the rules to maybe change it. Just like in football, basketball, sometimes rules change. And you have to meet those new times. We're in those times now. And I hate to keep going to meetings and meetings and meetings. We're talking the same thing. I keep going all over the place, but yet we're not putting things in action when people are hurting. So, I mean, to me, we have the solutions. We just got to put them in front of people to craft it to get it right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I want to say that, our housing department, as well as our planning agencies and our growth management department, has worked very, very hard to put a number of different things in practices. One of the things that we did, even to speak about the rehab program, is that we stretched that program into the East Tampa area because we really saw extreme need over in that area, and just fine tuning our processes so that we can reach more people is about us really broadening those programs to strengthen the families that live in those areas. One of the other things that we may want to look at, and this would be pretty bold, is to look at our housing design policies. And so oftentimes we're more concerned about whether a car has a place to be as opposed to a human being, right? And so I'll say that again. So we're thinking about where our cars live and not where our children live or our elderly live, right? And so, and not, I want to say, intentionally. And so when we think about our homes, and everybody wants to have them a 3-2 with two car garage, right? And then we park the cars outside the garage and leave our stuff in the garage. And so I say this because we've moved even our affordable housing products in that way. And so while we talk about having affordable housing products that's going to work, and while we talk about accelerating these things, we cannot accelerate and do all of these things if we don't make some tough decisions. So it's always the kind of the yin and the yang. in a process. And so I know some of my counterparts and some of my colleagues are going to get me when I get off this call. And so I'll be prepared. I'll be prepared for it. But I just want to say, as we move forward, we have to have very real conversations about how our housing look, the size of the housing that's allowed in our communities, the strength of our HOAs, and how oftentimes things can't happen in communities because of HOAs. And I am not trying to reduce the significance of the role or the place for any of these things. I'm just saying that we can have any of these things, but we can't have everything. We cannot have everything. And so we have to make some tough choices as we go about, and tough choices on what we're going to advocate for and stand for, and the banner that we'll stand behind as affordable housing advocates as well. And so as I work on staffing, and going through our policies and looking at what we can do better, I encourage you, I implore you, to reach out and talk to me, because we need your ideas. We want to be able to put those things in action that we can put in action. And remember that we are working with the city, but we primarily work in unincorporated Hillsborough County, city of Plant City and Temple Terrace. But we want to mirror many of our programs with some of what the city is going to do. But we also have to think about the different types of communities that we have in the county as well.
Ms. Howell, thank you very much for that. And what I'm going to recommend is that we potentially, maybe in as soon as we can, maybe February February would be optimal. March would be okay, where we bring together the housing folks, both with those municipalities, as well as with the land use folks and code enforcement teams together, and have a workshop discussion about how to identify barriers to accomplish. We may need to have our transportation and transit folks handy too, because they both have rules about how they operate and how they develop and how they deliver. That does impact land code. But I would like to make a recommendation that that we have this workshop so that we can really have a real discussion at not only the planners levels and the staff levels, but with the policymakers. So it'll be a public meeting, but it'll give us an opportunity to discuss these issues beyond the housing issue, because it doesn't, the siloing isn't working. And I think that would give us opportunity to really hash out some of the things that Councilman Goods brought up. Is, we keep talking about this, but we talk about it in our lane, but it doesn't seem to be getting done in the combination of efforts. So I'd like to make that recommendation. And then Ms. Jackson Sims, did you have a comment? Oh, you're muted, ma'am.
I think you're muted.
There you go.
So I was trying to be obedient and stay muted when not talking. I've made this comment once before, and it's in the minutes, but I think it's important that we look back at it again. I've suggested before that the elected officials from the county and the city need to come together. And while I appreciate the direction that you just mentioned, Madam Chair, I believe that's an administrative function of the county administrator and of the mayor on the city side to perform those functions, and not an advisory committee. What we need is for our policy folks, our elected officials, to come together and set what is going to be the housing policy for our community. And then we can go back with the practitioners to determine how to make that happen. And I know that the city has declared an emergency workshop for February, it would be wonderful if we could look at that in terms of a whole community and not just the city of Tampa, because it is impacting people throughout Hillsborough County. So if we can get our elected officials at the table together to begin those dialogues, and then the practitioners can look back at the rules that are currently in place and come back and tell the elected officials what's prohibiting and what needs to be changed, we can feed into that system with the practitioners with our suggestions, as we currently do with Ms. Howe. I think it starts at the top.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't see any other hands. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really like your suggestion about getting people together. I think that if that meeting does get to happen, some of the items that we've just discussed and Ms. Howe brought up, I believe the folks who did a study for affordable housing incentives, I think it was Kimley Horn. I think they actually already have all that data, because that was some of the questions that I had brought up in planning commission meetings, and then also in our affordable housing meeting when they were here, and I believe it was Kimley Horn, but it could have been another group, so I apologize if it was someone else. But talking about items in the land development code that could be adjusted to make affordable housing more affordable, and i.e. What Ms. Howe brought up, and we are more concerned about our cars than we are with our people, and that was something that I touched on before, and others as well. So it might be beneficial to whoever that, if it was Kimley Horn, to have those folks be a part of
Part of the workshop, or part of the working group.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Powell, was that with the Affordable Housing Advisory Board?
Yes, they made a presentation to us, and they also made a presentation to the Planning Commission as well. And I believe it was Kimley Horn.
Was it Kimley Horn?
I believe it was Kimley
I
Horn.
believe it was.
I'll go back and look, and I can email you. But they made a presentation because there was two different companies. But
I believe it was Kimley Horn. So, and we have that data from Kimley Horn, and we also have the data from the Schimberg Center as well. And so, we have data. I think we need to clean up our processes. And the other thing that I think is critically important, especially for low to moderate income communities, is the way that we communicate, how we get the word out to people. They oftentimes are on the back end of finding out when services when services are available. A lot of times they don't find out till the money's gone. And so we want to make sure that we create some type of communication plan or workable plan so that we can make sure that the news gets out to those people that are most vulnerable.
Thank you, Ms. Howe. Commissioner Myers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know we constantly come to every meeting and we always talk about our workshops, how we can improve our programs and all. But the citizens that I talk with, as well as the other elected official, they have the same complaints. The same complaints every time that you speak with one of them is, I cannot afford. And yet, I come to meeting after meeting every month. And I'm saying, when are we going to put policies in places where that the city and the county, and when I mean in the city and the county, the other municipalities, Plant City and Temple Terrace, we all on one accord and we all singing the same song. Because we don't need to keep rehashing the same thing every month and saying the same thing, but we're not addressing the issues that our constituents are constantly coming to us talking about affordable housing. And Madam Chair, you were correct. We were in the workshop on Saturday, and they talked about affordable housing. Information that's not being shared, they think the information is not getting to them, okay? Maybe we can run the same information that's on the county's website. Information we have on our website, we talk to the city. If you're living in the county, can we put this on the city's website, or vice versa? So if you're on the city's website, you see the county's information. You see Plant City, you see Temple Terrace. Okay, this is how we help get the information out. If there's someone on the social media, okay, because all I see on social media is everything else about affordable housing, that is not on there. So they have no way to understand about affordable housing. So we need someone can put that information on social media where people can see. But I think it's now time for us to stop talking and we begin to do some action and make results positive for people who constantly come to us talking about affordable housing. Where do they go? If there are programs that we have in place, let's put them out there. Let's just share it with everyone and begin to ask, how do we cross lines in working with the city and the counties and get this information out to people? Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
I hear you very well. I do think it's easier for the press to talk about the fact that we're in a rental crisis than it is to talk about the great programs we have out there that can help citizens deal with it. And it's just not the same. But I do believe it is important that we at least get that which we have done in practice, in practical solutions, and the changes that we've made over the last 2 years, get that information out there, and then continue working on those tweaks that we need to occur to increase the density and increase the availability of affordable housing in Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, Plant City, and Temple Terrace, on all of us. And that's why I would suggest having the various different stakeholders, the pieces that create affordable housing, land code, and also then raise the bar when there's a problem, for example, code enforcement, fair housing folks, and the leaders, so that we can start possibly exploring where policies really will allow to open up those doors that end up being shut when it comes to access to either rental properties or home ownership. And there are some barriers. The income levels in many cases are very low. The thresholds for the fair market rate, as compared to what has just been published at the federal level, and where it is here today, there is a discrepancy. And so how do we make up that discrepancy when our market is moving as fast as it is? So I look forward to working with the cities and with Cheryl and our other partners in this conversation to set up a workshop to really talk about how do we won't be able to vote on policy, but at least we can hash it out and identify key areas that we can do very rapidly, and possibly roll out where the barriers are just more administrative than they are actually policy. And then that'll help us create the list of policy decisions that we need that aren't local policy decisions, maybe at the federal level, to see if we can advocate for some changes there, as well as the state. Councilwoman Abel.
I'm just curious, what outreach to the press, the news media, in the form of like press releases, are being done to get out the information about what programs the county is offering?
We have sent out, when it came to the ERAP program, which, by the way, we are getting close to the threshold of fully deploying. That's the other crisis that I see coming, is we're getting that money out there rather quickly. But when it comes to, and we did do that, we got the information out there. Communications actually sent out a press release about it when we first got the dollars. When we updated the program, when we went to the second round, we sent out a press release. But if the press doesn't pick it up, it doesn't really go anywhere. Yeah, all of that information is on our website, but if the press doesn't pick it up, it just doesn't go anywhere. I do think that, for example, our neighborhood relations folks do periodically write about it so that the information goes out there. Each of the commissioners has their own method of communicating with their constituents, but it's up to the commissioners to have access to that information. But and generally, it's made available through when it first runs out, when it first gets out there, our first release is that's when the information is made available. And if you don't catch it then, you don't catch it. So, but it's a good question. What does Temple Terrace do as an idea, or for what you guys do for any programs that you do individually as a city?
Well, not about individual stuff, but whenever I hear about a program that we're doing through the Affordable Housing Board, I announce it at a council meeting, and the person responsible for media relations in the city always pushes it out on social media, and sometimes it goes up on a marquee around town. And besides that, that's what we have going on for that.
Excellent. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. I see we have Dr. Gordon has got her hand raised.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Since we're talking about communicating some of these resources and assets as they come along before they disappear, I just wanted to encourage us to think about unique partners that can help to share information. I am thinking specifically in regards to even our health department where I work. We would be happy to forward information that relates to any programs on housing with people who come into our buildings or who go to some of our local community clinics. We know and we feel what's occurring with people who we try to treat. You know, we have diabetics who come here and they don't have housing, and that creates problems for them. You know, so we see the connection with health and housing, and would be happy to share information as things come along. And I suspect that there are many other partners who would be open to doing the same. So if you would consider that for the future as well. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you. I am also going to go back and take a look at we recently rolled out the eviction and home stabilization plan program, and working with those individuals that are either we're trying to keep them from getting to eviction, but also once they're in that process to make sure they have legal representation, and then depending on the outcome, you know, work with them on stabilizing their household if they're unable to make sure that they can stay where they were. That program rolled out this month, and the communications plan is forthcoming, but it's not out there quite yet. So. That I'm aware of, so I need to follow up on that as well. Ms. Burton, you're recognized.
Yes, I just want to say, and I appreciate that comment from the Dr. Gordon, that over here at NAACP, we're pretty much on a door-to-door campaign because, like Mrs. Myers and others have indicated, information get put out in various places where our people don't have, it's not accessible to our community. And so we develop our own little flyer that we're, you know, letting them know rehab money is available and these meetings are occurring. So our community needs to know. That's one point. The second point is this, you know, I'm not a politician, and so I don't worry about, you know, what effect it's going to have on me in a political season. But the county must realize at this point that you have become the dumping ground for a lot of low-income residents. It just should be obvious by now. And this point of let's have this mass communication, it might happen, but I've seen, and this is me speaking, through the mayor transforming Tampa for tomorrow. We've had these discussions, and we are still now left with the brunt of where people are going to end up living, how people houses are going to be fit. So with all of that, you're just going to have to take the significant lead. The county is going to have to take the lead on this, and having the moral courage to say, number one, people deserve to have somewhere to stay. Number two, inside of our low-income community, people have a right to have houses rehab. They have a right to generational, to create some type of wealth. They have a right to stabilization. Those are the things that people in our communities are looking at. We just at and I know I'm preaching to the choir, we are just at this critical moment that we can't say what is political feasible for what candidate. People that understand fair housing and civil rights legislation and people who've been toting the water for certain parties, they're now being looked at, can you produce or not? And so I'm just hoping that the county, up under you all's leadership, can do the right thing. And other municipalities come along and join in on you. But when our people can't find affordable housing, they can't not use their Section 8 vouchers inside of communities that they once lived, all of that is coded message, and it's being very well discussed in our community right now, that the county is the place where most of our communities and Black people in particular will end up, because the lack of will, the lack of availability in the city of Tampa to take on these issues. And that is my statement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Burton. I don't see any other hands, so with that, I'll move on to Ms. Howell's report on the recently approved Board of County Commission agendas.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner. But for just a minute, I'm gonna take a little side street. I just want to say that Affordable Housing Services carries multiple functions. And so primarily what we do is we do affordable housing, but we also do what we call public facilities and improvements, where we go out into communities. We work with organizations. We may take on county-owned type projects where we build community centers. We make improvements in parks. We may make some improvements in sidewalk and lighting and things of that nature, or septic and sewer, and many of the community needs that need addressed. And we also do public services as well, which is different from social services, but we work with community organizations to provide services out in the community. We have had several projects that we've done with our own Sarah Combs out in the university area, CDC, that Harvest Hope Park, that just won an award. That was one of our projects that we funded, and one of the most amazing things is that we funded that project, but then we funded an affordable housing project that sits above the park, right, with Habitat for Humanity for 10 single-family homes in that area. And so it wasn't done without, thinking about the community impact. And then there are services as well, youth services, employment services, and a number of different things that are occurring simultaneously so that we can have a community impact. And so I did thought that I thought it was necessary to really kind of be able to share with you the breadth of what we do. And it's not just around affordable housing, but more around affordable living and those people, that we would typically serve. And so I just want to get back to the agenda at hand here. And so, and looking at the agenda, we had recently approved county commissioner agenda items. We've been very, very busy. As a matter of fact, if you have an opportunity to show up this coming Wednesday, please have comments. We're doing some fantastic things. I appreciate your partnership and your leadership that you demonstrate on this board. We have the Hope Biennial Plan that's coming up again. And we have this desperate need to create more affordable housing rental units. We know that, but we also are working on some other things too. One of the projects that I wanted to bring up to you, it wasn't a large project, but it was a conversion project, a motel conversion project down in the Ruskin area that we did with Catholic Charities. And that was the first of our conversion projects. And so I look forward to many more to come. Another project that I want to to mind is the shared housing project that we worked on with Tampa Hillsborough Homeless Initiative, THHI. And so we have 2 homes that's completed thus far. One is for women and the other is for veterans. We have a plan to do 7 additional homes as we move forward this year. We just kind of got to make some tweaks in the agreement based on the market changes that have taken place. And so we got a lot of great projects that are slated to be completed. We have, as a matter of fact, over 75 projects that we are currently working on in affordable housing alone. So I just wanted to share that with you. Are there any questions on the agenda items that have gone forward thus far?
I want to highlight one that you didn't brag enough about. As you indicated, on Wednesday at the Board of County Commission meeting, we're going to get the report regarding the HOPE Affordable Housing Fund biennial plan. That's our 2-year plan that actually plans out how we're going to go ahead and spend the county commission's commitment to $10 million a year in terms of supplementing affordable housing over and above what we receive from the state. The good news is we actually have $11 million this year because I asked for an extra $1 million in our budget flag process. And I will suggest to you, and thank you, Ms. Burton, for noticing, but the Hillsborough County is actually projected allocation for the Sadowski Trust dollars is around $11 million. So the Hillsborough County alone is contributing a significant amount of dollars. It's never enough, but it is equal or close to being equal to what we receive from the state for affordable housing. So when we talk about policy decisions and supporting our legislators and talking with the state about funding, looking at the formulas for how they may change to make sure that Hillsborough County receives its fair share, applying for the tax credit deals, as well as a large county legislation that changed last year to allow us to compete for a second 9% tax credit deal. The work we're doing here is mattering. So at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, we'll hear not only the remaining public comments on our HOPE plan that are due, because we opened that on December 8th, and so there is still time to add public comment up until then. So we'll close the public hearing and authorize the Housing Department to, or Affordable Housing Services to schedule the public hearing, and which we did, and then we were actually having the public hearing on Wednesday. There'll also be, Cheryl, what did you call that other report? Not the CAPER, but the
affordable housing, the annual impact.
The impact report, right. And it has some great information that shares the amount of the units we've been able to get open, where we've spent these dollars. So we're creating as much transparency as possible to help our residents recognize how we're spending not only that $10 million, or 11 in this case, but also what we're doing with the other dollars that we receive from the state as well as other federal programs. So I encourage all of our board members to watch that on Wednesday. It's earlier in the morning because it's on the agenda already. And the biennial plan is a time certain at 10 a.m. So I do encourage everyone for listening to that. And with that, I'll move on to the next item for Ms. Cheryl is the federal and state and local grant updates.
I want to.
I'm sorry, the Affordable Housing Services report. My apologies.
Right. Sarah Combs has her hand up, and I'd like to recognize her.
Ms. Combs.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. Is there any way that we can get that HOPE plan? Because I haven't seen that, and I would love to be able to read that. Where is that located?
Okay, it's included, but we can provide a copy of it to you as well. I want to say it was, did it come to the board in December? I believe it came to the, or November?
It
can't
would have
be
been
as-
it would have been in November, not in December.
We'll send that out to all of the board members, okay?
Thank you so much.
We're also gonna send out flyers for the different type of programs that we have, whether they're rental or rehab programs, foreclosure prevention, which is a huge program, or mortgage assistance. We're gonna send those out as well. Okay, and so under our affordable housing services report, I believe that we have already put out all of the information that I have thus far, Commissioner. So I kind of got ahead of myself.
Okay, so will you just want to cover the monthly newsletter, or?
Yeah,
Okay,
and so
go
far,
ahead.
I do want to talk a little bit about our federal, state, and local grant updates. If you just give me a couple of minutes on that. And so we are waiting anxiously on the Build Back Better. I believe that we'll have a significant increase in our CDBG funds, in our home funds, and maybe even a new pot of funding as well with that. And so I'm anxious to see what that will mean for our community if that does pass. With the state SHIP funding, I want to say that we're anticipating anywhere, I want to say about $8 to $10 million this year for our state SHIP funding. We have not gotten those. We have not gotten those recommendations, not yet. So we typically get them around February, sometimes in March, on how much the allocation will be. One of the things that I am watching closely at the state level is where the funding is going to go for the resilience. And so even though it appears to be lost funding in terms of housing, I still think that there's an opportunity to be able to bring a portion of that funding back to Hillsborough County. And when we think about unincorporated Hillsborough County, Palm River area, we think about East Tampa areas, some of the areas out in University area, some of our South County areas, Riverview area, you'll note that in some of those areas, there's significant public improvement that needs to be made. Some septic to sewer programs need to go on in order to really help to move those communities forward. And so I am watching this very, very closely, because if there's a possibility for us to bring those dollars home, we want to bring them home. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that we did receive a small grant through DEO, and it's to strengthen the All People's Park. And so we'll be helping to administer that grant. I want to say that grant was for $1.2 million. And so for All People's Park, it's designed for people that have physical challenges. And so when there's a hurricane or another natural disaster, we wanted to make sure that that property was strengthened so that they wouldn't have to deal with those compounded issues. They're already dealing with a crisis. And so now to go to a place that's really not designed to help them, and they're trying to get food or ice or whatever, So we thought it best that we put that project forward, and the state of Florida supported that project with an award of $1.2 million. Right now, we have another pending award. So we kind of got a pre-award from the state of Florida for an additional $2 million for a motel conversion. The state works very, very slowly, and so we are working through that process. And so we'll be able to add some additional money to that $2 million and do another small motel conversion with that. So we'll be looking for a smaller, maybe a 20 unit or 40 unit motel or hotel to convert that into affordable housing. So we got a lot of good things going on here. And I want to say that is it for the state and federal funding. Please be on the lookout for our RFPs. We are in RFP season right now. We will have a training that's occurring this January. Willette, are you on the line? Willette, are you on the line? I cannot recall right off the exact date of the training, but that's so that any organizations that want to come in and talk about the RFP process, what some of the changes that you can look forward to this year, some of our goals. The training is January 11th and January 13th. Can we get a time on that, please? We'll send that information out to the board, and please share it with others as you receive it as well. And so I want to encourage you to come in so that you can talk about the process. You can't get too good at this process. You just can't get too good at this process. Our goal is to get money out in the communities to you. So if you got some great programs, we want to see them. We want to see them get funded, and we want to see people get services.
So, Ms. Helen, if I understand you correctly, you said that you've got a training program for those that are interested in possibly participating in the RFP or developing properties or being a partner
Right.
from a home builder developer place tomorrow and Thursday. Is that correct?
January 11th and 13th, that's correct.
That's right. Okay, so, yeah, please get that information out to us today, and we'll try to do what we can to make sure that the community is quite aware of it. I see Ms. Willette's on, Ms. Hollinger is online,
And
but
it's 10
she's,
a.m. and 2 p.m. respectively. Willette, could you speak to that, please?
she's still muted.
Are you there?
She's-
Tremaine, could you speak to it, please?
Communications, are you muting her, or is she able to?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Whitney?
Tremaine Witter, Affordable Housing. Yeah, so the workshops will be held on January 11th from 10 a.m. and then January 13th, starting at 2 p.m. There's a registration link that will be provided. It will be platformed out through Zoom, and there we'll have representatives from our planning and reporting team so that they can go out and provide you guys some questions and answers that you may have for our RFP process.
Has that information been sent out through communications to the press?
To my understanding, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yes, it's
I'll-
already been sent out through communications. It's been posted in the newspaper. And so we will make sure we email it out to our AHAB community here.
Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, you want to cover the monthly newsletter, and then we can discuss any future items, but I think we're getting real close.
Yeah, we are. And so we have I'm trying to get down to it. I'm working off one screen. We have our monthly newsletter here. And guys, you know, every month we like to highlight at least one of the projects that we have worked on. This month, we want to highlight Enterprising Latinos. We went into a building that they have owned for a few years and helped to make some upgrades in that building. And if you don't know what Enterprising Latinos is doing down in the Wamama area, you know, I encourage you to look into it. They have, they put together some good training programs down there. They have become kind of this little epicenter of if you need services, everybody goes and they seek out Enterprising Latinos. Liz Gutierrez, she's phenomenal. She does a tremendous amount of outreach out in that community. I have worked with them over a number of years and working with Allegheny Franciscan Ministries as well that supports that program. And so it was a really good project to support. And we provided two mobile what do you call it? They're not mobile homes, but kind of like mobile homes on the property to really expand the services. We provided new HVAC and AC units, provided some improvements in the kitchen area because they do a food handling class in that area, and they also help people become entrepreneurs. And so it's an excellent program. And if you have not had a chance to go down to take a look at Enterprising Latinas and the good work that they're doing in the community, I certainly encourage you to do so.
Excellent, thank you very much. I see Sarah Combs, you have your hand raised. Did you have another comment or question? Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss you because
Oh, sorry, I'll take that.
we're almost there. The good news, there is some great projects that have been in the works. You can see in the newsletter also the $2 million invested in Dawning Family Services, the Metropolitan Ministries project of almost $130,000 to upgrade their kitchen for their training program. There was $1.3 million roughly that was invested in September for the Sunrise Communities, as well as about approximately $500,000 for creating 8 units in partnership with Habitat for Humanity. So there is work being done, and but you'll hear a lot more on Wednesday. So don't miss out on Wednesday if you can avoid it. And if you do miss it, those meetings are all available for a replay, and where you can have a chance to kind of see a lot of the good work that's being done. But I would like to say that our next regular board meeting is February 14th, Valentine's Day, so we all get to share how much we love everybody on that day. But more importantly, maybe sometime between now and then, we'll have a target date for having this collaboration workshop with our planning and zoning, code enforcement, you know, and the various different communities to make sure that we're working together. And what best methods can we do to not only create more housing, create more units, but any policies that we want to address, along with how can we get the information out to our citizens so that they're able to tap into those resources that are available. So with that, I'm not seeing any other hands raised. Mr. Powell?
Well, I just had a question, but I don't, it's more about sort of like old business, so I don't know.
Is your mic on, sir? I can't hear you very well.
Is that better?
That's much better, thank you.
Sort of old business, there was a lady had a question that came to our last meeting. She was looking for some help in getting some services. Her house had caught on fire. She had an issue, and I just wanted to follow up on that and see what we were able to do for her. But my second part of that was, while she was here and she was obviously really upset, I didn't want to make any, comments that may have further and made her upset, but I was thinking that, it would have been really great. I'm assuming she didn't have like a renter's insurance policy, in place. And then do we put out any information about, having like a renter's insurance policy, and recommending those? Because that, would have certainly helped her situation and would have provided for, some immediate, housing and things like that. So is that something that we've ever touched on before? So we can bring it up in another meeting, but it's been a thought of mine. It was a thought then, but I didn't want to tell her, hey, why didn't you do this? And that wouldn't have really been the situation.
Yeah, I do realize that a lot of folks aren't not aware of rental insurance and why what the value is, but, and in some cases, if you're a commercial landlord, renter's insurance is required, as part of the legislation, but it isn't necessarily required under residential rental arrangements that I'm aware of. But Ms. Takamori, do you know for our code at all if it's required by?
I'm not aware of any requirement for a residential renter's insurance.
Okay, all right, great.
Well, maybe we just touch on it in another meeting, or bring up just the awareness of it, because it's relatively cheap.
Right.
Sometimes it can be as low as I've heard of and seen $9 a month for people, but you can prepay them, as well. If you wanted to, you get a little bit of discount, and it does provide for protection, for those situations.
That's an excellent idea. We do have quite a few community groups, nonprofits, and partners in this area that teach financial literacy And I could see that as being a very important component of that, because oftentimes those that need the financial literacy classes also need to know that oftentimes they're renting properties. And so they would need to know that that is an important element of their safety net as part of their financial life. So I think we might want to see who's offering those courses and make sure that information is available, unless we could figure out a way to make sure that it's required. But we actually even have commercial real estate investment trust companies that have leases that actually require full homeowners. They leave it all up to the homeowners in terms of having the appropriate insurance on the property. But if you don't know what you're looking for, it oftentimes can be not sufficient in this case. So having some knowledge there would have been helpful, yeah. But Ms. Howell, do you know where it went with the woman that did come to see us last time? Do you have any information you might be able to share with us?
We did, and so there was outreach, considerable outreach done with this family. Mr. Whitty, I believe that one of your employees did that outreach. Are you aware of the outcome?
I know there were still some ongoing conversations with it. I can follow up with our contracts manager to find out the exact resolution we have and provide that over to you.
Right, and so what I can tell you is that I know it was a complicated issue, not just because of insurance. It was I believe that she was trying to get a replenishment for business business losses as well. And so, it was outside of the scope of what some of that was outside of the scope of what we could do. And so we were working hard to really kind of try to cap her and make sure that she was qualified for some of our programs, so.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other future businesses, or did you have a follow-up question? Okay, great. Any other future business items that we need to discuss? I'm looking for anybody online. Not seeing any. I'll entertain a motion to, well, I guess we can't. We don't have a quorum. All right, meeting adjourned.
All right.